Welcome back to Kin in Line. This is part 118, I'll make it. So I keep dotting around in the 1980s, and here we're back with my first wife for a few years, and reading, and I did this quick sketch, well, actually more of a leisurely sketch, of her, not sure where she's seated, maybe on a bed. Anyway, that's one thing my first and second wife had in common, is that they both were avid readers. Well, the second one still is, Robin. But so living with a woman, especially when you're a young guy who's doing it for the first time, really, you do get the occasion where your spouse is actually dressed like this. So being an artist, couldn't resist sketching that quickly and then watercolouring it later. I see we've got a Viewmaster there for sale at R8.99, and people today don't even know what a Viewmaster is. But so I actually did this attempt at another watercolour of this thing, and of course it doesn't work as well as the original. But anyway, for what it was worth. And I see the date there's 85. And this was Anne at reading again, and I think probably at her parents' place in Groffernet. Again, not a flattering drawing, but in my game, you're not there to get the likeness particularly. It's not that important. It's more about the drawing, just doing a drawing, getting a nice line, nice picture. So this was her father again, Philip, and I sort of possibly overdid the color again, but then I don't know, I just quite enjoy a bit of flamboyance, It can bring the thing to light, and I've sort of echoed that light in the face, so reflecting it in the face. And this is another one of him, quite a subtle one that might appeal to people, more conservative folk. And I think this is quite a good likeness of him. Yeah. That's it. And then that accursed parakeet, quite a nice characterful thing, even though I didn't really like him. It was still something to draw, particularly at the time when I was perhaps going through a little bit of stress with this whole breakup of this association. As I noted earlier, while we were living in near the collegiate schools in Kestel Street in a block of flats, this thing flew off. The wings hadn't been trimmed recently, and off it flew, never to be recovered. Can't say I missed it, but it was not deliberate, that's for sure. So in my probably post-first marriage days in the late 80s, I did all these sketches along the beachfront. I sort of, whenever I got the chance, I was at the beach swimming or sketching, or not at both at the same time, obviously, but I love body surfing. Now this is a guy surfing at a point near Pollock Beach, the name of which I can't recall, because I wasn't born in this city, so I don't know all these little spots. This is Bird Rock, I think they call it. It's the one where there's always a couple of cormorants, quite a few really. And I think you've got the lines of the splashes of the wave coming through, reflected there in the drawing. Of course, I could take some watercolor to these things and really bring them to life. But it's, it's a risky business, and at the moment I'm just going to settle for the little pen and ink sketches. My famous anglers, the guy on the right is curled up in a ball. He looks like a what your reel looks like if it gets all clogged up and you've twisted the line and you try to unravel that thing. That's what he looks like. So that's the beauty of Port Elizabeth, the bay. You get lovely vistas across from one side to the other. And so here we're at kind of Pollock, no, a bit closer maybe. And there's the harbour wall and a couple of cranes. And of course a bird, probably a cormorant. Yeah, I might have to pluck up the courage to watercolour these some point. That's a famous block of flats virtually in the flight path of planes as they come into land at Port Elizabeth Airport. So that's at Humewood. With the sort of central buildings in the background. Now we go from landscape back to life drawing. More people on the beach. See, a bit of colour would bring this thing to life. Not that I don't think it's already a good drawing. Large man, all the weight resting on those arms. And then I remember this vividly, no doubt because I sketched it. But there's a thing called a super tube at King's Beach, which is a slide, sort of water slide. Quite a nice one, not that I ever went down it. And this dad was looking through the wire fence around it with his little son, imitating him virtually to the nth degree. So it's one of those real happy occasions where you capture something pretty special. So post first marriage, I'm afraid I had an eye for a nice female figure, and this seems to be one. Of course, my interest was purely artistic. And this is just quite an interesting juxtaposition of types of drawing. So this one would have been done, it looks like he's putting sun cream on her back. That would have taken maybe a minute. This one of three guys probably took several minutes. And so it's a more complete drawing. But if you look at that central figure, he's just suggested, like these two. And if you, on the beach in South Africa, you will see a ice cream man with his cart. See, he moves so fast, he's almost shooting out the left side of the page there. Yeah, so they would push these things through the sand. A bicycle with a freezer box in the front from which ice creams were sold. Yeah, so now I'm not sure where these little ones come from. Wait, I think we're still on the beach because here is another ice cream man. Of course, back in the apartheid era, they were called ice cream boys, even though they were often men of 50 or something. But your little white kids who say, there's the ice cream boy. Really absurd that we were. These are not of the quality of those first ones. But some of them are quite nice because here we've got children. And look at the movement. It takes me right back to those sketches I did at art school of the model when she was moving up and down. And Lug obviously knew back then the importance of following a figure. No one, if you're drawing them from life, they're not posing. They're just going to be standing like that for a few seconds. So you just nail it. I've only been on a yacht in the bay once. Some wealthy guy who was a member of the yacht club invited me out to do a story to try and promote yachting and popularize it. Ended up meeting Dave Tarr afterwards in the yacht club, and he had just sailed in because he sailed yachts all around the world, and he had his guitar and a girl in his crew. He had a crew of a few people, and they proceeded to play some lovely Irish music. And after about 10 beers, I think I was barely remembered the yachting trip. So this was me before having my own kids. But I would do such similar drawings to this. I mean, these kids are universally going to be digging in the sand. All it takes to locate a picture on the beach is a suggestion of an umbrella, a yacht sail, the horizon with a ship on it. Little things are quite hard to separate. So here we've just got those shoulder blades kind of moving around as the child works the sand, We'll just conclude with a couple of sand. So there's a drawing on the back, which is a shame. It's kind of shining through. Again, cheap paper. So a woman holding a child, that's a universal phenomenon. And even a little naked child running around. And a woman going into the waves, and you've once seen this so often, hitching up the dress a bit, which is not an unpleasant sight. And maybe a woman laying out a towel. And a classic. Today they would be on a phone or something. No, he's actually reading a book under his umbrella. I like the face, sort of real dark glasses. And then another child digging away. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that for now as we soak up the sun. Cheers.